Hi guys, it's Lisa. I'm so excited and a little nervous today. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I feel like we have this great discussion that we should have, and maybe you guys aren't as prepared. I don't know if you can, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see the chat. For some reason, it doesn't look the same as last time, but we'll see. We're working it out. Anyway, I know we originally put the post up about my interview for custody and divorce, and then we had to take it down. I apologize. It was about helping my friend, so I'm going to kind of give you guys a wrap up, but I want to give you an update from last time. Hi. So last time we did an interview with John about his serial cheating, and I was so happy that people engaged and would send me messages, and I've had some conversations with people. I was telling Danielle a little while ago, John's not the only one who says he's going to go down with the ship. I don't know that the person meant it that way, but I think there is a common thread of it's easier to stay. Divorce is messy. I don't want to go through it. I don't want to have to deal with it, which is one of the things we're going to kind of talk about today of what that means. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe the answer is prenups. I'm not really a huge fan. I know, like, when you have money, you want to protect what's yours, and I get it. And there's like business and there's marriage. And sometimes melding the two of them can be nasty. So maybe that is the answer. Like, put it all out before you get married and say, hey, listen, if this happens, if X happens, then Y happens. If Y happens, then Z happens. Maybe that's easier. I don't know. Like, I always thought, like, oh, that takes away the romance of it all. But you know what? Who cares? Like, if that's something that'll make it easier for you to be a couple and a partnership, then okay. Because there were definitely things in my marriage, in my divorce, that I never saw coming. So we'll get into that. But maybe that might be the answer of, this is why I'm staying. I don't have to, or this is why I'm going to leave, because I don't have to worry about the mess. At the end of the day, everyone's relationship is everyone's relationship. And what works for you works for you. I want to know, have you guys ever thought about leaving? Or has your partner ever thought about leaving? Did you come back from it? Did you have a discussion? Just like put a 1 in the chat if you've thought about it. You know, I would think at some point we've all kind of been like, oh my gosh. But at the end of the day, you love that person. So you're like, no, of course not. I'm not leaving. They might do something that pisses you off, or they might do something that you think, do you have, deal breakers? Are there things like you just can't get past? Maybe those are things that need to have more discussions in a marriage. I don't know. But anyway, there was, like I said, some really great discussions. I've had some people saying that it really helped them to hear other people's point of view, or things that they've been through. And I think the be-all, end-all is, are you willing to work at it? If everybody has problems, and are you willing to have those really tough discussions? So like, some person reached out to me, and one of the partners had an affair. They decided they were going to stay together, and then the other one had an affair, and then the first one had an affair again. And like, is it something that you're afraid to have the conversation? Like, you never want to hurt the person that you love. Like, I think even at the end of the day, when you're married to somebody, you love them. You don't want to hurt them. I say this over and over. There's a big difference between being in love and loving someone. And I think when you build a life with someone, you love them. You'll always care about them, and you don't want to hurt them. So the thought of looking them in the eye and saying, I don't love you anymore, or looking them in the eye and saying, I did something wrong, I made a mistake, I was unfaithful, any of those things, you have to look at that person and know that you're the one that's making them cry and you're the one that hurts. So sometimes we don't have the conversation because we're afraid. Are you afraid to have a conversation? Have you ever had someone have a conversation with you and you couldn't take it, or you knew that conversation was coming and you didn't want to, so you avoided it? Like, I know that happens a lot. People are like, oh, hi everybody, mwah, mwah. Thank you so much for joining in. There are some people that it's like, hey, can we talk later? And people make up all kinds of reasons why they can't talk that day, or they're tired, or no, let's just do it. And you keep pushing it back. My ex-husband and I did that a lot. Like, again, you're so afraid of being hurt or hurting. So do you put off conversations because they're too hard to have? Put a 1 in the chat if that's the case, or a yes, whatever works for you. So that's just kind of some of the wrap up. And those are kind of the discussions that I've been having with people. Now I want to go toward today's conversation. So today we're talking about, you get to the point in your marriage and you're done. You want to leave. Whether you've had the conversation or not, you need to be prepared. I'm going to say this stereotypically, that this is more geared towards the women, but there are plenty of men that have to go through the same thing. Actually, my dad just said, like, his wife has passed away and he never realized all the other things that she did, and now he has to take care of. So, in your partnership, it's like, who does this and who does that? So what does it take to run a house? I think I've thought about over the last couple of weeks, for sure, getting ready for this one, that I think it's healthy for young people to live on their own. As great as it is to save money and be prepared, I think there's something to be said about actually living on your own, not in the sorority house, not up at dorms, really paying your bills every month, being responsible. My ex-husband and I tried really hard to prepare our children for budgets, which I knew nothing about. He would have those kind of conversations with them, and I apparently should have been paying attention. But I think it's important, because when I left, I had no idea how much it cost. When I spoke to the divorce attorney and she asked me how much this was, how much that was, seriously clueless. Honest to God, I didn't know that you paid water and sewer and I don't know, there's something else. Like there's all kinds of things. And like some places you have to pay for garbage and recycle, and some other places you don't. I joke about the Christmas tree all the time. Putting up a Christmas tree, hanging up lights, packing all that stuff away. Like, I remember I would decorate the house and then Eric would put everything away. Now I have to do all that. Putting a tree in a stand or those things. I didn't know. I don't have a car that you can bring the tree home. So it's those kind of things. It's all those little things that you don't think about. Men, are you the one that usually goes food shopping every week or every other week? Do you know, like, all of the things when you move out, all those little stupid things that you don't realize? Like when you first move, salt and pepper, obviously. But like, I remember one day I wanted something and I was like, shoot, I don't have any soy sauce. It's like the little certain dressings that you use every once in a while, or crackers, like just anything that you're not used to because your partner always did it. What is it that you guys can think of that you take care of in your marriage, in your house, that your partner might not know that you do? Or vice versa. Like, what are they taking care of? I know some people, it's like, well, he takes care of the yard and I take care of the house, or I do the laundry and he does the bills, or, there's give and take, I think, in a lot of relationships. You need to know what that is. That's kind of just the easy side of it, I want to know if anyone's dealt with the really tough stuff. Did you have a divorce that was nasty? Did you have a divorce where you didn't think that person would ever do certain things? I mean, I think we all get to a point. Yes, it's a lot of give and take, Fritz. Absolutely. That's what makes it successful. You know, you both have to be there, but don't you believe that give and take is being able to tell the other person what you need? I think there are a lot of times where it's easier, oh, I'll just do it myself. But then you resent them because you did it yourself. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? This really pisses me off. I wish you would do this with me. So when we were married early on, one of our very best friends was going through divorce. And I remember getting a phone call in the house that they better stop doing what they were doing. Our friend was hiding money. He wanted to protect his money. He wanted to hurt her. He wanted to take it. And the financial advisor called and said, you guys better stop what you're doing. So I kind of knew this, but I never thought that that would happen. And that's exactly what happened. I didn't think that my ex would have ever done that. And money started being hidden. And it was a joke, actually, when we were married. I remember one day I was cleaning and I was in the closet and I found like $10,000 in a boot, in a cowboy boot that obviously he never wears. And I called him at work and I said, I just found all this money. And I said, I just found $10,000. What do you know? And he goes, well, where'd you find it? And I was like, why have you hidden money somewhere else? Which later on I found. So that used to be a joke in our house. Like we used to kid about that. Like, oh, you know, where'd you hide money? Was it in there? But that's actually a very real thing there, because I wasn't on top of the finances. I didn't know where money was or how much we had. I remember having conversations with him and saying like, shouldn't I know this kind of stuff? And he's like, if I die, don't worry, you'd find out. I was like, okay. And, you know, I took that at face value. I was like, okay, like, I don't know what that means. I guess, you know, a life insurance company is going to call me, but there's other things. Like I remember not too long ago calling my daughter and I was like, oh, hey, by the way, I have this somewhere else. And she was like, well, thanks, Mom. It's a real nice thought going to bed. And I was like, but I just thought of it. So, your partner should be on the same page with you. But those are things like it's your responsibility, men and women. You should know. You should know how much money is in every place, how much your bills are. What does that money mean? How much does it really cost to run your house, to run your life, actually? Can anybody tell me in the chat, like, were you surprised or are you surprised of how much it actually costs to live month to month? Anybody? Hi, Dad. So when a lawyer asks you, how much does it cost you? If you have little kids, you have to think of that. Are they in dance? Are they in gymnastics? How much are their clothes? How much is the doctor's appointment? How much is the braces and the hair and nails and prom dresses and proms and graduation presents and college and dorms and books? And there's all these fees on top of your family vacation, your savings, your IRAs, your retirement. How much is your car? I didn't know. So we owned an auto repair shop. And I'm so sorry, like this light is weird. I don't know what's happening. I apologize, but it's really freaking me out. It's like some weird thing and I'm trying to not be all shiny. Sorry guys. But anyway, so we owned an auto repair shop. Well, guess what? Did you know you have to change your oil? Did you know you have to change your car tires? There's brakes and rotors and pads and, did I say oil? Windshield wipers. I didn't know you changed your windshield wipers. The fluid. And so and a battery. So I didn't realize I love my bae, but apparently the battery is not in a normal place. And it's not even in a place you would think. It's like under the tire, in the trunk. It's so bizarre. I had to call somebody to find out where this thing was. And you have to change the battery. Yes. Right? Oh yeah, Steven. So when you guys were sitting down trying to figure out how much that cost, it's got to shock you. And was it something that you and your wife talked about at the time? Like, hey, honey, we can't just go run off here and there because this is how much our life costs. Like that, I think was my biggest problem is Eric would always say to me, Lisa, do you think there's a money tree that grows in the backyard? And I would be like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. When I need money, I just go and get, I was never told no, like we couldn't afford something. So yes, of course, I just thought and I should probably preface this. I started dating my ex-husband at 19 and I was married at 23 and lived home the majority of the time. Like I went away to college for a very short time. I lived home, and my mom took care of everything. I had no idea what anything cost. And then when I got married, it was kind of the same thing. Eric handled all of that. I just, I took care of the kids and did my thing. And so I had no idea. The only thing I did know was vacations because I always booked the vacations. And it was funny because even that, it was like, okay, we're going to go here. Like we're taking the kids and we're going here. And we always went there. I didn't, don't get me wrong. I wasn't like flying 4 of us first class twice, 3 times a year. And we didn't fly first class anyway with the kids, but I'm just saying I wasn't going on these crazy vacations, but we went on vacation every year and he did golf trips and I did girls trips. And so there was a lot of things that went on. So of course I thought we could afford it. Yes. Yeah. I agree, Stephen, like the home care, for if you're working and your wife is working, having someone take care of your children versus giving up that job and staying home. Like even those conversations are really tough because some people love their jobs and moms have a tough time sometimes, and dads. Sometimes they feel like, oh my gosh, should I really go to work full time? I should be home. But yet sometimes they love their job. Sometimes they need their job. And yes, looking at those costs is very tough. And with special needs, it's even more difficult because it's the trust factor. It's you knowing that you need someone. With any time someone takes care of your children, it's, oh my goodness, I'm putting my faith in this person that they're going to take care of the person I love the most in the world. So yeah, even those costs, and they change as the child gets older, those costs change. So you have to know that as well. I think your life changes as you grow. Like I said, Eric, I was 19 we were 23 when I got married. So 23, and then I was 27 when we had kids. Your life, like what you're willing to buy as far as furniture or your house, where you live. When we first got married, we lived in this small ranch, decent piece of property, but it was like, this isn't where I want to raise the kids. So then we had to move to another neighborhood. And then it was like, well, I love this neighborhood, but I don't like the school system. So now you have to pay private school system. So those costs change. And it's like, oh shoot, now you're in a bigger house and you thought your bills were this. Well, now the heating costs more and the air conditioning costs more, or you have to replace, what are those things? Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't even know you had to change air filters. I don't know, out here, something, the heat wasn't working or the air conditioning wasn't working. I don't know. And somebody was like, yeah, because you have to change the air filter. I didn't know that. And then I didn't even know where they were. And you should have seen me at Home Depot trying to buy the air filters. But like, those are the kind of things, if that's not something you take care of in your house, how would you know? It's just like, okay, men, I am going to gear this towards you. Who cleans your house? If you get a divorce, who's going to clean your house? It goes back to when I said earlier about people talking to me about staying because it's easier. One of the people said to me, like, I don't want to have to do all these things. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go and live by myself and have to do my laundry and food shop and go start dating somebody. Like, it was just a hassle. So that's why they wanted to, that's why it was easy. They totally love this person, but I'm just saying, like, when you have the discussion of what it's like to leave versus not leave, it's like, those are factors. Okay. So that is the thing. How many men clean the house? Would you hire a cleaning lady, or are you going to do it yourself, or you're not going to clean? I don't suggest that. But yeah, those are things that come into play. What is it? Like I said, I talked about the lights earlier, like Christmas lights and decorating, but your lawn. Are you hiring a landscaper to take care of the lawn? Are you hiring a pool guy to take care of the pool? Are you, like in Vegas, the pools don't close. So the pool people come year round. In Jersey, we close the pool so many months. So somebody has to do that. Does your husband do it, or did you hire a company, or do you do it? The other thing, so I kind of want to get into, we had a chance to come to Vegas. My wife had work. Yes. So I have a friend of mine, Cindy White, who she has an autistic child, and she was in Ocean Township. We went to school together and became a huge advocate for autism because the school system just was not good enough, and they weren't facilitating enough. And I think actually she just moved, but has had teachers that come home. Like, some teachers were wonderful, but yeah, there are things where, you know, now you have these opportunities and it's like, but wait a minute, this is a good opportunity for myself or my wife, but as far as our child goes, yeah. And it becomes, can you talk to other people? Like, did you meet your neighbors? Can you ask them? Can you get information before you move there? I think there's definitely groups that make it a little easier. Facebook groups, you know, I don't know what other kind of groups there are, but I know there are groups especially geared towards autism. So I would think you could get some help, but it's not easy. And especially when you're like, okay, we're moving and there's all this pressure. Like my one friend, two friends actually, just moved here, and they have not one stitch of furniture, and they have to do construction, and that's pressure. And, you know, to now, if you have to do that plus work, plus you have a child, it's like, there's only so much of you and there's so many hours in a day. So that gets stressful, and I totally understand it. Hi, KK. So I also wanted to talk about the things that aren't so easy. So I started to tell you about, you need to know where your finances are, because your spouse, male or female, could 1,000,000% hide money on you. A forensic accountant is a nightmare and incredibly expensive. I think they quoted me like $40,000 to hire a forensic accountant. I don't know how much money I would have found. Like, and then there's also the legalities. Like, you could seriously be arrested for that kind of stuff. So You just need to be aware of it. And the problem is you never think that that's where this is going to go. When you have spent a lifetime with someone, you don't think that they're going to nitpick or that they're going to be vindictive. But we've hurt each other. So of course people are angry. So they're going to lash out. I understand that. I see some people do their divorces and it's like, oh my gosh, it's great, like how nice the two of you interact. And then you hear like, okay, it wasn't so easy then, but now it's easier. And they put the children first. They don't want to fight for that. So one of the other things I'll say is, again, more towards the women, but same thing with the men. When you leave that house, there's the possibility that that spouse is going to change the locks. And the only way to get back in that house, because your name is on it, you have the legal right to bring the cops there. Mm-hmm. Now, do you want to bring the cops in front of your children to your home? I didn't. I didn't think when I left my house that would ever be the possibility. I thought I was doing the nice thing. I thought I was being kind because I was the one that had already caused the hurt. Yeah, that's not the way it gets looked upon. And again, these are things you don't think your spouse, who now you have spent a lifetime with, would ever do. When you think about the things in your house, I didn't get to pack up my things. One of my favorite presents of all times was a blanket that my daughters made me for Mother's Day. I don't have that blanket. They're baby's books, the ones that I sat with while I was pregnant, or every day while I was nursing them, or as they were growing when they were babies. And I wrote in those baby books. I don't have, because I wasn't the one that got to pack my stuff. Is there anybody out there that can relate to this? Is there something that you wanted that you felt like you just didn't want to rock the boat and you weren't able to get? Pictures. Pictures are huge. That I do have boxes of pictures, thank goodness. But there are like their first baby album. I don't have that. The one that was like not crocheted. I don't know. It was like somebody made it for me and it was beautiful. And you want those things. You're the mom. You want those things, but you don't think of that. And there's also, I will say, you get wrapped up in what's going on. For me, because I had somebody else in my ear, it made it more difficult. I was trying to not rush things. I was trying to placate too many people. And at the end of the day, your marriage was you and your spouse. And really, only the two of you, in my opinion, can kind of figure that out and work that out. Paying a lawyer to say, yes, go get the cops and go in your house sucks, because your lawyer already costs too much money. The fighting that goes on, and I love my lawyer friends, don't get me wrong, and I want them to make money, but not because I have to have a phone call about this and I need to now track money, or I can't get my dog, or those kind of things. Those are things that it shouldn't be this difficult, and for some reason it just is, and it's because it's emotions and we're human and we're hurt, and I totally get that. But you shouldn't have to have a cop to come to your own home. That was the other thing. I remember my lawyer saying, Lise, you don't have to give up the house. And I never wanted the house to be sold. It was my children's home. I always thought I would be the one back there. Those are those kind of like your idea of reality and other people's idea of reality are two different things. So yeah, like it's hard to think in the moment that what it can be 6 months. So you think, okay, well, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to move out for a little while and we'll calm down and we'll figure this out. Well, once you do that, now all of a sudden, even things in your house can be taken, things that you want or, will want later on down the road, or you don't know that you want. You don't even get to go through everything unless you make it even more difficult. And that was the thing, like, it was already hard enough. This thing is really bothering me. I'm so sorry, but I don't know what this light is. But yeah, it was really bothering me as far as I just didn't want to continue to cause pain. And then at the end of the day, I'm the one that's still looking for certain things or want certain things that I just didn't get the opportunity to. And my lawyer, I will say, she was on my side. She was like, Lise, don't do this. Don't give up that. And it was just like, I don't want to be mean. Like, I've already hurt him and that's not what it's about. Like, not going to get the baby books is not going to make it better for him. Like, that's just not, he's not going to go, oh, wow, you're so great. I don't hurt anymore. I'm not mad at you anymore. Well, that's not ever going to happen. So, has anybody ever gone through something like that? Like, did you feel like something happened that you never saw coming? Like I said about the money getting moved before. Did anybody else go through anything like that you can share with us? I know a lot of people don't like to share because it's tough when your name is up there, but I would definitely appreciate it. While we're waiting, in case anybody does want to share, I'm going to tell you. So I did a couple things. We're going to put like this divorce checklist up. So I've been taking notes and talking to people and just trying to see what they went through when when they left a relationship, and just trying to, you should know your state guidelines, because there are certain states that are no fault. It doesn't matter whether you cheated, they cheated, it's 50-50, easy peasy. There are other states that there are rules, and that if you cheated, this happens. There are ones that if you leave and you are now with someone else, that can affect your alimony, your child support. I think so. Part of this all started with my interview of a friend of mine. And like I said, we had to take it down because she's back in court 2 years later. You can't hear me? Is anybody else having a problem hearing me? I hope. I hope you guys can hear me. I don't know why you can't hear. But so 2 years later, it's got to be almost 3 years now, and they're back in court. They have spent over $100,000 on their divorce, and he has told her from the get-go, he'll keep her in court as long as he possibly can. He'll drain the money. He doesn't care because he has a ton of money. He doesn't care. And it just hurts the kids. Like it's becoming so nasty that she was afraid of any of this having her name attached, because he has a team of people that might find out. And I just can't even imagine what that's like and why he would be so vindictive. He has been trying for a long time. Like, she has a beautiful home, but as far as their alimony and custody, it's constant. They're constantly changing therapists, and they're constantly changing time, and that affects your child. I deal as a CASA with foster children, and every time you move a child from one foster home to another, it does something to their emotional status. It does something to their way they connect with people. There's a whole lot that goes into it. So when divorces are nasty, it doesn't help the children. I remember thinking, that when I was a kid, when I got married, everyone in my family had been divorced at least once. My ex, nobody had been divorced, so he didn't know anything about that. To me, I was always kind of like, it's fine, I'm fine, my cousins are fine, it's all good. Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But then I had my kids, and it was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine not having them on the weekends or them having to go somewhere else. And I didn't want them to have I didn't want them to have that bad blood between them. But I also never thought it would be bad between Eric and I. I always thought like, oh, we'll be fine. We're always going to be friends. I never thought it would get nasty. So even those are things like you need to consider. Can you have a relationship with your ex where it is not animosity, that you can drop off and be like, hey, okay, if you need me, if you need help, say yes. Brandy, absolutely. Mwah, hi, sweetheart. Yeah, so there's a perfect example. Super easy. They were friends. Her ex-husband and new husband, friends, get along fine. Like, it happens. So when people looked at me and thought I was nuts for thinking that this could be a easy thing, I was like, but wait a minute. I know people that it is easy. So I know people who celebrate holidays together with their exes. I know people who on the weekends are just fine and dandy. They go on trips. Yeah, see, my cousin said they would do golf trips together. It happens. It does happen. We all make choices. You can make it not nice or you can make it nice. I want to say if you were nice in your marriage, but that's dumb because Eric and I were nice in our marriage and I didn't think it went very nice at the end. But yeah, there's definitely, if you were a controlling person in your marriage, then you're going to be a controlling person in your divorce. You're going to be looking for that. So I think really the biggest part is just being prepared. Is there anybody else that was surprised at something that happened in their divorce? Like you just didn't see it coming, whether, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think because I do, like when I say you need to know your financials, you need to know whether there's life insurance, IRAs. So here's an example. When your settlement has, instead of selling the house and someone buys you out of the business, buys you out of the home, and instead of giving you cash, they give you stocks, IRAs, retirement funds, any of that, you should know that if your spouse is older than you, and those retirement funds were supposed to be accessible at, I think, 65. When you take from them, even though they now came to you, you still can't touch them until you're 65. And when you do, you get penalized like crap. There's a penalization, there's a penalty for taking it. And then there's also tax on it. So those are things you need to know. You need to talk to an accountant and a lawyer before any settlement is done because you need to know the ramifications. Because what you think may be an X amount of settlement figure is not at all. Because if you can't touch that for so long, that's money you don't have. That's money you can't do with what you want. And then when you do, you get penalized for it. So now it's worth a lot less than you thought it was. I remember, sometimes we get wrapped up in new relationships. And sometimes those new relationships kind of screw you out of what you thought. So I thought this new relationship was going to be a true partnership. And I was like, okay, here it is. Here we are. We're in this together. And how many penalties and how much tax do you think I have to pay on that partnership that didn't work? So yeah, even think of that. And maybe that's the business side of it that I was talking about earlier, that maybe prenups are a good thing. Maybe having separate financials is a good thing. I don't know, because I don't know where I stand on it. I feel like if you're in a partnership, you're in a partnership, and you should feel like you're in it together. But I also understand protecting your own. Yeah, Danielle, same. My ex did not want to do alimony because he said he didn't want to have to deal with me every week. Why was yours saying he didn't want to do support or alimony? Was it just not to deal with you, just to screw with you, or not at all? Like, did not want to be a part. Like mine was, I don't want to have to write a check to you every week because I don't want to have to think about you every week. And I was just trying to be like, to mess with you. Yeah, that's that controlling factor. Yeah, and I guess if there's no control over the situation, that the partner feels like if it's the money that they can control, like my friend in the interview, it's clearly the children that are the control factor. And that's why he's messing with that, because he knows that's what's going to hurt her by trying to find more time with the kids, by trying to do things with the children that will hurt her. That's how he can control her, because he knows it'll just make her miserable to lose more time with the kids, to hang that over her head. You didn't have value. See, but that's the thing. Just because, yes, I understand you cheat on him, but it doesn't mean you deserve to be punished for the rest of your life. That was someone that I spoke to recently after our last live, and he felt like I could never leave her. I was the one that cheated, and when she cheated, how am I going to be mad at her because I did it? That would be, I think he even said I would be a hypocrite. No, it's not. You don't get to, you don't, I shouldn't say you don't get to. If you and your partner agree, like, hey, you did this to me, then I'm going to do it to you. Okay. But you can't be punished for the rest of your life. And I think that's why some marriages can't survive an act of cheating, because the other person feels like they have the right to punish you. If you can't forgive and forget and not throw it in their face all the time, you're just not going to be able to come back to a place of trust and love and friendship even. You can't throw your mistake in somebody's face all the time. But I do think it is something you can come back from, and stronger. There are couples that have cheated and realized, okay, you weren't paying enough attention to me, or I did this for that reason, and let's fix that, because at the end of the day, you're the one I want to spend the rest of my life with. And they work it out. So it depends on what you're willing to do. How much does that marriage mean to you? Steven, my wife and I both have our own money in joint, put equal amounts in it so far. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So your wife now, to both of us, but no alimony. I don't understand that. You have a joint account that you both put money in, but no alimony. Is that your wife that you're married to now, or your ex? Sorry, Stephen, I might have missed something you said before. I'm just trying to see, because so when I had the boyfriend, that was the one thing we decided, okay, when we play, we're going to take X amount of money and put it over here, and everything was great. And I kept the stats of how, when we played and what we bought in and blah, blah, blah. And it was awesome. And I felt like this was what I always wanted. I wanted that partnership. And then at one point he got annoyed and he was like, but wait a minute, why should we have the same percentage when I play a bigger game than you? And I was like, but at the end of the day, it's still the same thing. We're still taking the same percentage of what we bought in or what we made that night. And it was going towards our tournaments anyway. Like this was our savings there. So, and I think that was the beginning of the end. I don't think he ever had a woman who actually said, hey, I get to have a say in your money. That was another one. I don't know why I get these men that hide their money. But yeah, he used to do that with all his ex-wives and all of them. That's why he went back to, because I wasn't willing to do that. I'm not, if we're in this together, we're in this together. So, yeah, you should be able to have a say. And money is always an issue. And that's why if you can remove that business end of it, to me, that makes you partners. If you can say, okay, hey, this is ours. This is what we do. This is what we use it for. And you're all on the same page. Then Scott, I would find that money. I'm very good at finding money. Give me like 3 hours in your house, I can find it. I'm always the one in the poker room when they drop a chip, I can find it. Only married once and still married. We have no alimony. Oh, okay. See, I like that. So you have your joint accounts, but you also have accounts that you can do whatever you want with. I like that idea because you should still be an individual. And if you want to use that money to, I don't know, do whatever, great, you should. But I think I like the fact that you and your wife have an agreement that, hey, this is how much it's going here. And you both know what's happening there. What I would ask is the money that you have on your own that you get to do with it whatever you want, do you both know how much money that is? Or is that like money you don't tell each other about? Do you know what I mean? Because that's the whole hiding thing. Yeah, okay, you still know what you have in each other's accounts. That's great. See, and I think like that's a partnership. That's like, hey honey, we're in this together. This is how much our house costs. That you both have it on the line of what it costs. And I think at the end, my ex would always say he didn't want to talk about money with me because it just became irrelevant. Like at one point, he said something really sweet. He said, I would bring home the credit card bill and I'd have it in my hand ready to talk to you about it. And I would walk in the door and I'd see your face and it wouldn't matter anymore. And it's like, tell me that when we're married. Like, walk in the door and tell me that when we're married. I don't want to do this every week. But that's what I mean. Like, yes, I get it. He had a hard day and it's like, yay, now you came home and you saw me and you love me. And I think that's awesome. But that doesn't help us as partners. So as much as those are the hard conversations, like, yeah, I get it. What he didn't want was to tell me, Lisa, we can't afford this. Lisa, don't do that. It costs too much, or stop using the credit card. He didn't want to say that because then I, being the spoiled brat I am, I would have been like, what do you mean? Why can't I? And then it would have led to, this is how much it costs to run the house and this is what we have. And like, I don't know, maybe he was afraid of disappointing me or something. But you have to let your partner know what it is. You know, some people, I didn't even know how much a house cost. Like in our neighborhood, when we first went to buy our house, geez, I don't even remember how much it was. But even that stuff, I didn't know. Like when we first got married, I lived in a very affluent town. We weren't affluent, my mother, but we lived in a very affluent town. I expected that I was going to live in a house like my friends did. I don't know, their parents had jobs. Okay, you have a job, I can have that house. That's what I thought. This is the reality that is Lisa. So I truly felt like when we got married, he was all of 30 and I was 23. I just assumed we were going to live in one of those neighborhoods and live in one of those houses. And when I say one of those houses, I mean, like, they were really nice and really big. I grew up in Ocean Township, New Jersey, and my ex-husband is from Wall Township, New Jersey. And they're pretty nice towns. I expected to live in those. When we first went looking at houses, I said to Eric, I'm like, fine, we'll live in your neighborhood. Like, it was so much different. You know, like he was worse than mine. He drives me to Wall and shows me the houses that we could afford at the time. You literally had to knock them down. So I had no concept. So your partner might not have a concept of what's going on, of what you're going through. If you started a business, if you're working and now your job has made cutbacks, or you're not getting an increase or a raise or any of those things. Like Steven said, he has a special needs child. Now maybe those costs went up. And if you don't share that with your partner, you're both just going to be stressed about money instead of trying to work it out together. I took a $5,000 tilt loss from my account, but she knew it, and it sucks, but we were always open about it. See, that's awesome. Yeah, okay. So you lost money. Was it an investment or something? Listen, that happens. Like, anybody who thinks the stock market isn't a gamble, I don't understand. Like, it is a gamble. Nobody is perfect in the stock market. So yeah, or there are people that make investments in other things, and sometimes you're going to lose money. We opened a second business, and it was an Italian deli. And I don't even think it was 10 days. And Superstorm Sandy hit. Every bit of food destroyed. People's homes, we couldn't open. Like, it was Superstorm Sandy in New Jersey. We were flooded. People didn't have electricity for like 2 weeks. I mean, there were some people that didn't have electricity even longer than that, but I mean, it was a nightmare. So yeah, people lose money. And now what do? How do you recover? We didn't have those conversations. Honestly, I thought you have insurance. Like, isn't that why you have insurance? Well, guess what? Insurance companies didn't pay for a lot of things. So yeah, I mean, you have to have those conversations. Playing out of my limits and went and played 1025. Oh yeah. Yeah. Playing up. That's definitely, so the ex-boyfriend and I, when we were together, again, had a partnership of bringing, keeping track of the stats and everything. I sat and watched him play. I sat and watched him play one night and lose $50,000 in one night. $50,000. Never in his life had he ever played that big and lost that much. And hand to God, I was okay with it. I was like, okay, you'll get it back. Like, I'm not going to sit and berate you. You're a poker player. We should have left hours ago, but yes, okay, there's nothing you can do about that. It's the same thing when I was with my ex-husband and he wanted to buy a business, and I said, here, take my credit cards, and we maxed out every credit card. And I think it was almost 50,000. What the hell is it with me and 50,000? But yes, we charged all that money on, hi TJ, mwah, mwah. We charged all of that money on our credit cards. And I said, okay, you can't turn around and look back. You can't, I'm not going to give it to you thinking you're going to lose it. I'm giving it to you because I believe in you, and we are partners. So if I have something that will help you, then I'm going to help you. Unfortunately, that's how I got in trouble with the ex-boyfriend as well. You do have to be a little smart. I hate talking about money, and that was my issue in my marriage, my relationships, even with business. Like, I hate talking about money. I eat poker, when I buy pieces or sell pieces of it, like, I don't know, there's just something in me that gets all, ugh. But it's business. Like, there shouldn't be any guilt about it. So, but you and your wife, Steven, you worked it out. Like, okay, so you lost money and you move on. Now, hopefully she's not throwing that in your face, because it sounds like you two are good partners. You have good communication, because it wasn't something you were hiding from her. You were like, okay. I think it makes it a lot easier when you have a business and play poker, because you do have some sort of backup. or investments or whatever. So I think my best advice for people is really to be as prepared as you possibly can. Knowing the worth of your home, knowing the worth of your business, knowing the worth of your cars, knowing the worth of your investments. What happens to those investments if you touch them? Do you have life insurance? Do you have health insurance? Like if you're married, do you lose that health insurance? That happens to a lot of spouses. Do you, your taxes. Oh my goodness gracious, what a eye-opener that was. I had no idea. I still have no idea. It's so bad. But yeah, those kind of things. And so much of it is tied to financial, which I hate making it sound like marriage is financial or divorce is financial, because I think that's what pissed me off the most, was that my ex-husband wanted to just talk about all the money. And like, I said to him, I'm like, we've spent 25 years together. Why is this about money? Like, why can't you just give me a check for right now to, keep going week to week from the business, and then we'll work stuff out. But instead it was like, no, I need this over. I need this done. And that's when you really wind up getting screwed, because now you're rushing. And when you're rushing, you don't think that a year from now, I'm going to want that ornament that my daughter made in school, or I'm going to want visitation with my dog, or I'm going to, like, all of these things that you give up because you don't want to hurt people. You don't want to seem like the bitch or the bad guy. At the end, you built this life together. Everything you have together. So yes, you do have a say in it, and you should protect your, I don't want to say side, what is it? You should protect your interest in that. And if it makes you sound like a bitch or a bastard, then I guess you have to be the bitch or the bastard, because once you're done, you can't get it back. That's the problem, is once you settle and sign those papers and say, okay, I'm accepting this as the agreement, and then 2 years later you realize, man, you get hammered because of the way you did the settlement, or you can't afford the house. You decided to stay in the house, but you can't afford to stay there, and now you're letting it go, or you're selling it, or whatever. Like, there are consequences that you won't see down the road. So I want you to be as prepared as you possibly can. And that means talking to your friends, talking to lawyers, doing research online, whatever possible outcome. I think I'm just trying to look at some stuff: property taxes, water, your maintenance in the house. Can anybody think of anything else that they know to keep up their lifestyle that should be, even entertainment? Like, I remember my lawyer said to me, well, do you guys go to the movies? Do you go out to bars? Do you go out to dinner? How often do you go to restaurants? Like, you don't even think of that. Like, we went out to eat a lot. I love to go to a restaurant. So how much does that cost? You have to know that. You have to know buying your clothes. You need new clothes. You get new clothes every year. You get, or, every so many months or whatever, your shoes, women, all of the maintenance. What is it? Your hair, your nails, your lashes, your makeup, your plastic surgery, trying to think of what, I forgot to plug my phone in. My battery's low. I thought I was good. We should be okay, I hope. Besides, how long are we going? Oh my goodness. See, we're not going to go over today. But is there anything else that anyone can think of that was an eye-opener in their divorce, or that they wish they had been prepared for? Anybody? Trying to think of this list. We will have the divorce checklist up at some point in the Vibe Tribe. Talk to someone. Yeah, I'm just trying to go over this really quickly. I'm mailing you a battery pack. And it's so funny because I try and be so good about it. My one friend her phone is always dead, and I try and be good about it. Scott, I'm sorry. I had a little few things on my mind today, which actually I'll get a little into very quickly before we wrap up. So one of the things I talk about all the time is mindset, right? I've been coaching people, and I want to coach more people on mindset and manifesting the life that you really want. So you know how you stub your toe or you get out of bed and you trip or whatever, and it's just like, oh my God, one thing after another, after another, after another, and it just turns into this horrible day. That all is mindset. When you think you're going to have a bad day, I can assure you, you're going to have a bad day. When you think it's going to be a good day, it's going to be an awesome day. Mindset is everything. And there is nothing out there that is impossible. So if you want something different, if you feel like you want your life to change and you're just not sure of what it is or how to go about it, I can help you with that. I can coach you. You can reach out to me through private message or put it up on the group, whatever you want. But mindset is absolutely everything. The more you stress about more money, the worse you're going to do with money. That is 100% true. Like the more you think, oh my God, I have so many bills. Oh my God, I can't afford this. Oh my God, I can't afford this. You're not going to be able to. There will always be things. It's the law of attraction at its finest. But when you think, I'm going to be fine, money will just come in. Did you ever meet those people? I actually was talking about that with someone not too long ago. And I said something to her about saying your affirmations of money. And she said, you know what? I never really worry. She said, it just always comes. It's always finds its way to me. And that's because to her, it's not something she stresses about. For her, money just always will keep coming to her. It's the same thing with people with relationships. There are people who can't stand to be alone, and they are constantly, oh my God, I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be by myself. And that's all they're doing. They're putting that out there. You have that energy that goes out. When you see somebody and you just feel like, oh my God, what a cool person, or there's just something about that vibe of them, that's that positive energy. That's that positive mindset that they have. I can help you with that. Does anybody have an example of, oh wait, Stephen, not divorced, but when I got married, I didn't realize how much student debt she had. Okay, so someone told me, and she might still be in the chat, a while back, she said, I would never get involved with a man who had debt, or big debt, or something like that. That's actually, that's a pretty sizable chunk of chain there, Stephen. Do you look at that and be like, oh my gosh, or someone who has had credit issues or bankruptcies or any of those things? Sometimes those are loopholes. Sometimes those were through bad times. Sometimes that could have been through another relationship. Is that really something you say to somebody, well, I'm not going to get involved with you because of that? There are people, maybe. So let me know in the chat if that's anybody else who's gone through that. They met someone and they were like, no way, I'm not getting involved with someone like that. They have Angie and I always call each other our baggage. To me, we all have baggage. If you've been in a relationship before, if you've lived life, you have baggage. And to think that nobody has it is kind of naive. Now, what you're willing to put up with, if that's a deal breaker for you, then no, you shouldn't get involved with them. Stephen, when you found that out, did you guys work it out that, hey, all right, this is what we're going to do to help pay down this debt? Were you saying, okay, well, we're partners now. Let's figure out a way to get you out of it, and you used yours? Or was she like, hey, this is my responsibility, I'll take care of it? I'm definitely curious, maybe that's too personal. I don't know, you put it out there, so maybe it's not. But let us know if you did or not. Hopefully my phone's not gonna die. But any other comments or questions, guys? I hope this helped. I think this is not me advocating leave your spouse, get a divorce. I want people to be in love. I love love. I believe in love. I want you to be the happiest you possibly can be. I don't want you to stay in something because you're afraid of the unknown or the mess or the problems. I don't want you to settle because you're afraid of trying or looking to see if there's something. That does not mean I'm saying look and see if the grass is greener. That is not what I'm saying. Don't anybody twist my words. I'm saying that the grass can be greener. The grass can be better, but it can be greener in your own yard if you're willing to water it and feed it and nurture it and mow it and do all the work that it takes to have a nice lush green lawn. You can have that green grass anywhere. But if your grass isn't growing and it's dying, then maybe it's time to look elsewhere, or just be by yourself. So I'm hoping that makes sense. Does that make sense? It doesn't sound like I'm advocating divorce. What I'm saying is, if you're not happy, I want you to be happy, but I want you to be prepared of what that takes and surround yourself with the people that will support you in making it an easy transition. Support yourself with the people that aren't going to choose between you and your spouse. I can't get over how many friends feel like they had to choose. That's funny because you didn't choose one of us when you became our friend. Actually, it's funny that sometimes it's your friend that you lose because now you're a couple and they're a couple and the husbands are whatever. Friends don't choose. Family doesn't have to choose. I understand somebody may have hurt someone in your family, but if you loved that person for 20 some odd years, 30 some odd years, they were your daughter-in-law, your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law, your cousin-in-law, whatever, you should never have to make a choice. Someone making you feel like you had to make a choice is terrible. I don't think that helps anybody. No, don't do it. I wouldn't choose. Doesn't mean you have to hang out with them in front of their presence, but you shouldn't have to lose somebody else because there was a divorce. So it's something she was okay with paying from her, but at the end of the day, I offered to input. Aw, see, that's good. That's nice. How long have you been married, Stephen? If you can tell me. But we do have to wrap it up. So anybody who wants coaching, I'm here. Reach out to me, DMs or in the group. If you have something that you want to tell us about your marriage, your divorce, that you think can help with somebody else, 5 years, nice. If you think there's something in your marriage, the good or the bad, that can help people, nice, 11. Why did it take you so, I'm curious because somebody just said this. They were together for, oh my God, I want to say they've been together for like 8 years and they're not engaged yet. And people were asking, like, was the girl hesitant? Was the guy hesitant? Is there an issue? Like, was it just timing where you're not ready? Or, again, a personal question. But that's kind of what this group is about. Because I think a lot of people, especially this 8-year, maybe the person doesn't want to get married. Maybe they do, maybe they're worried. I don't know. But those are conversations that you should be able to have. If you want to get married and your partner is hesitant, maybe you need to find out what those reasons are. And when you talk about it, maybe you can both kind of get on the same page. But again, if there's anything you think can help us, please leave Does the chat work after we're done? No, so you can't leave it in the chat. But you can like post it or DM me, is totally fine. I've had conversations with people outside of here, which have been great. So, which I want to bring back to you to help. So hopefully we touched some lives today. She wanted me to school and other reasons. Gotcha. Perfect. Love it. Yeah, see, so people have to do what works for them. And I think that's great that you both supported each other. Lord knows it's not easy to be with a poker player. So she's put up with stuff and you've put up with stuff. We all go through that in relationships and marriage. So thank you so much for being here today, guys. I want to keep the chats going. anytime you think there's a topic you want to talk about, let's do it. Put it up on in the Vibe Tribe, in the group, and I don't know. We'll meet back. And like I said, if you want to have coaching for manifesting mindset, I'm here to help. Also, next week, I don't know what next week is. I'm not sure, but we'll start posting stuff. I'm sorry. We'll start posting stuff as soon as we can. If there's topics you guys want to talk about it, tell us, okay? Mwah! Thanks so much. Have an awesome day.